guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Martha. So today is a very exciting video for me to film. As you can guess by the title, it is a review of the Fenty Beauty Foundation. So I know the internet has gone wild after the release of Fenty Beauty by Rihanna and her makeup and everything. Like, I had never had like as many videos in my subscription box about the same thing as I had on, I think it was Friday or Sunday, like just over the weekend. Even till today, like still so many subscriptions or so many videos are about Fenty Beauty, and I'm not mad at it. I'm here for it. I'm so happy for Rihanna, and I'm like, I love Rihanna. Like I'm not like a diehard fan of her music. Like, I like her music, she's good, but like her as a person and like her persona, and like I just love her attitude. So like, I had to gotta support a fellow black girl doing her thing, I wanted to get everything in the line, but the way my bank account is set up right now, I couldn't. Well, I shouldn't, and I didn't. And I just got the foundation because that's really all I was looking forward to, really, because everyone with oily skin loves a good matte foundation. And this is actually not my very first impression of the foundation. I actually tried it out, so I like worn it throughout the day, and I generally have my opinions, and I gotta say I do really like the foundation. It's good. I'm gonna do a demonstration today and show you how it looks right after I applied it, and then I'm gonna insert some footage of how I wore it yesterday when I wore it all day. I took some videos and pictures throughout the day just to show like how it wore and if I was getting oily, and I took some pictures at the end of the day to see like how much oil. And I gotta say, like, I didn't get that oily, and like I have pretty oily skin. I have oily combo skin. Like, my T-zone gets super duper oily, but like around the edges my face gets super dry. So it's a foundation that is like, I don't know, it worked well for both areas of my skin. Like, my oily areas like felt dry, like not in a bad way. Like, they felt like they had never seen a drop of oil in their life when I put that foundation on, and it was just wonderful. I did feel like the dry areas of my skin were like, they felt dry, but they did not look dry. That was the thing. Like, it felt dry because, I mean, those areas are already dry to begin with, and it was a mattifying foundation. But like, looking at it, it wasn't like dry or flaky. Like, it looked fine. It looked like the rest of my skin. It didn't look flaky or anything. But I'm gonna do a demo and then like show you how I apply it, and just tell you how I feel about it in terms of the application and tips and how I think it should be applied. So I'm gonna do this side with a beauty blender and this side with a brush. I've already primed my face. Well, I primed my T-zone with Benefit Professional Primer and the perimeter of my face where I get drier with the Too Faced Hangover RX Primer. So yeah, I love the packaging of this. Like, it's just so like heavy duty, and like, I don't know, I just feel like a boss opening this up. Like, bruh, like it got 2 layers too. Like, it's just... So the foundation itself is 1.08 fluid ounces. So that's a little bit more than the standard foundation. I know, generally speaking, foundations usually come in 1.0 fluid ounces. So you do get a little bit more. And I think it was $34. So that's a pretty good price range for a Sephora foundation. On the packaging, it claims that this foundation is medium to full coverage for all, long wear, and light as air. I'm gonna shake this up really well. I'm gonna take a pump, just one pump on my finger. It's like, actually that was like a half pump, but I'm just gonna start here on the bottom half of my face. As you can see, probably this foundation is definitely a little orange for my, well, a lot of orange for my skin tone. The sad part is like, the shade lighter than this, like 370, that was also warm, was too light for my skin tone. And so, I don't know, I'm a little sad that this color, oh, this is 390, I don't think I said that, but this is 390, is a tad orange for my skin tone, but I make it work. I feel like the thing about shades in most foundations is that they're never yellow enough for my skin tone. The only like super yellow foundation I've tried recently is the LA Girl Pro foundation, and that was like obviously not for oily skin, but that had enough yellow, but it was also still a little light, so I had to mix 2 colors. So I'm taking another like half pump and putting this on the rest of this half of my face. I'm gonna go a little bit over these areas too where I have more acne scarring, but yeah, I usually only apply 1 layer of foundation anyway, so I'm not gonna add a second layer after this one. And since this is a little dark for me, I'm gonna take it down to my neck. Oh, we put too much. Okay, I'm gonna take it on the other side too, just because I put a little too much, but. This foundation dries very quickly, so I would actually recommend not doing your brows beforehand because it's hard to get around it if it's already dried, you know what I mean, without like brushing against your brows. But if you're a pro, you probably don't care. I mean, it's not a huge deal. So this is the coverage with 1 layer, and again, I'm not gonna go in with another layer like over this entire side of my face or either side really, because again, I generally only wear 1 layer of foundation, and I think also this foundation and the whole line is kind of meant to kind of reflect your natural beauty and your natural radiance, so I'm just gonna go with that theme and not apply too much coverage. But as you can see, it's a very, like, as it claims, a soft matte finish, and I love it. It's so pretty. Like, it's so, like, I can still see like my like natural radiance here, you know what I mean, but it's still matte. Like, it's very matte. Like, it's very visibly matte. Like, it's not, there's no doubt about it that this is a matte foundation, but it's not like overly drying and not overly like chalky matte, you know what I mean, like a flat, like dull matte kind of finish. I'm gonna go in with a regular flat top foundation brush on this side. Okay, so I think this might be giving me a little bit more coverage. I can't tell right away, but it feels like, I mean, just from first application, this looks like it gave me a tiny bit more coverage. Let's see. When it's blended out, it might look different, so let's see. Make sure I get my ears. Can't have my ear looking. I know this is weird, like to apply foundation on your ears, but like when your foundation don't be matching you, like you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, so initially I thought it applied. Ooh, I think this side, this brush did a slightly better job of covering my scars than this side. So this is the side with a brush applied, and this side with the sponge. I think, yeah, I think you can slightly see more of my scars, and I think that's to be expected with a sponge compared to a brush. I feel like a brush generally gives a little bit more coverage because the sponge soaks up the product and helps it blend out better because of that soaking up of a little bit extra product. So yeah, I don't think it's a huge difference, but I do think it is a tad noticeable. I don't know, I think I actually might like the look with the brush. It's not a huge difference, but I think it's enough for me to prefer the brush. But yeah, I mean, it looks the same in terms of like mattifying finish on both sides. Like, there's still that natural radiance. Like, the brush didn't take away from that, you know what I mean? So yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna have to apply a slightly lighter concealer, or a little bit more of a lighter concealer than I do in the center of my face to balance out this like orangeness. So I'm going to take my Tarte Shape Tape in the color Deep and the color Tan. I'm going to take a little bit more of the tan than I usually do because the tan is the lighter shade and I want to balance out this, you know, situation. Yesterday I applied a baking powder, like some setting powder, and I like kind of baked a little bit. I actually would not recommend that for the winter months because your skin is already dry. Even if you have oily skin, like even in my oily areas, like it didn't take, like I only got oily at the very end of the day, and I feel like I would have been fine if I hadn't baked, you know what I mean? Because the foundation itself is already so mattifying. That baking kind of was OD really, because my skin felt really matte, like very matte the whole day up until the very end. So I'm actually gonna skip baking. I'm just gonna set under my eyes because, you know, my eyes crease, my concealer creases under my eyes, but I actually think you're fine without setting your face with a baking powder with this foundation, especially if you use a concealer like the Tarte Shape Tape that's already kind of mattifying too. As you can probably tell, the finish on this foundation isn't like overly matte. Like you can still see my skin like glow, like the natural glow of my skin, but I am gonna spritz my face with a setting spray because I feel like setting spray kind of helps reduce the dullness that like powder and you know, mattifying foundations tend to give. My summarized thoughts on this foundation, the Fenty Beauty foundation, the Pro Matte Soft Filt'r foundation. I think it's a really great foundation for, actually I think for everyday wear. I know it claims to be medium to full coverage, but I think it's pretty like light to medium, honestly. More so medium than light. I definitely think it's a comfortable medium. You know what I mean? It's not too heavy at all in terms of feel. But I'm sure you could build this up if you wanted more coverage, but for me and what I like, I think a medium is good enough for me. And I think it blended well with any other products I use on top of it, because I've had foundations where it made my like bronzer patchy and streaky and like apply too heavy. My highlighter applied well, you know, my concealer blended out pretty, you know, easily, and it doesn't look overly matte because I used a mattifying foundation on top of underneath a matte concealer, and I don't think like either of the two like were too much matte because the foundation just like was such a natural matte finish, if that makes sense. So I think this is a really great foundation for oily skin. I can't say for dry skin because I do think like the drier areas of my face do feel drier, but they don't look dry at all. You know, they don't look like flaky or anything, but I don't know. There are dry skin YouTubers who have tried this out, so I definitely recommend looking up their videos and their reviews. I would recommend this foundation for oily skin, and I inserted some pictures and videos of how it wore throughout the day yesterday when I wore it. So hopefully that helps you figure out how it wears, and I think it wears really well. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video was helpful, and just like, comment, and subscribe for more content.